Hey everybody, welcome back. It's a brand new edition of 20 Minutes. And again, I appreciate everyone each week coming in and checking out who the next guest will be. And of course, I like to get on as many coaches as I possibly can. And had a little bit of dealings with this gentleman before, and had a little bit of dealings with him recently this past season. And glad to bring in Mike Morrissey from lovely Moline, the Maroons. And Coach, I appreciate it. Kind of a crappy day today when we record this, but I don't know about you, but for us here, it hasn't been a bad winter. I'll take
it's been the same for us. We've been very lucky. I know it's a little rainy outside today, but it's a perfect 70 degrees here inside this brand new weight room, so we'll take it.
Let's start there. And again, fill everybody in. I hadn't been out to Moline in a while, so I went out during the regular season, saw your win against Sterling. By the way, will everyone out there please stop giving me crap about not going to Whitey's after the game? Seriously, to this day, I can't live it down. Like, everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe you didn't go. I've been there before. It's wonderful. I know what it is.
Hey, but you were warned. You were warned.
Oh my God. I mean, I just love your setup. I mean, between your, the field you play at and then going on to the campus and seeing what you have in-house, it's tremendous. It really is. And I think one of the things, and that's why I was glad to come out and watch you guys, because I forget sometimes how great some of the schools are in the Western Big Six, and great fan bases, and high school sports really means a lot in the Quad Cities, in your area. And I mean, it's something that, I don't know, maybe I just took for granted, but boy, it was a great atmosphere at your place. And that goes across the board for a lot of different sports. You've been to other places. How is it different at Moline versus maybe some other schools and places you've been to?
Sure. It is unique. I think it still has that Friday Night Lights feel to it, where the town, in a sense, shuts down. And especially if there's a big game, whether it be football or basketball or whatever is going on within athletics in our community. I mean, our town shuts down and they come out and they support the kids. And, it is a unique setup because we're off campus. So, our stadium and the basketball, the field house is off campus here. It's not at the high school. So it's a little bit different that way. But it definitely still has that Friday Night Lights feel. I've been, the school I was at in Arizona was in a really nice, affluent area. There, for the big games, everybody came out, which was awesome. At Cedar Rapids Prairie, we had a really nice following and a great community fan base there. Very similar to what we have here. The people in the area and in the town and the community really talk about how successful the kids are when they're having a great season, and what they can do to support us if we're not, and what needs to help our program get over the hump or get to the next level. And I think that really goes for, not just football, but pretty much our athletics in general here at Moline. And I think that's what makes it cool. It's fun to be a part of. My kids go to school here in our school district, and they love it, and they love being a part of it. And I think that's what makes it special, is that everybody's going to come through Moline High School. If you live in Moline or you live in Coal Valley, there's not two schools. It's just the one school. So everybody's going to come through the same one. And that makes it a little bit closer knit.
I kind of like the off-campus feel with your stadium. I don't know what it is. And Rocky's that way, where Rocky Stadium's off the campus a little bit. And, it just gives it a different feel. It really does. It's kind of more of a, I don't know, maybe it's just the overall atmosphere on a Friday night there, but a lot of fun for sure. I don't know, is it fair to say the program's hit a nice stride here the last few years?
Yeah, I'd like to think that we've made progress. I think when I started here in 2017, we had, roughly 90 kids in our football program. And I think right now we started the season this last fall at 140. So we've made progress as far as getting kids out, and our Junior Maroons program has grown incredibly here in the last 5 years. And Brad Hines deserves a lot of credit for that. And our middle school programs have grown. And we get kids that are coming out that maybe haven't played football before or had not played football in a couple years. And that's made the difference, and our kids buy into things. We get they get the credit. They've done a great job of buying into what we're trying to accomplish on both sides of the ball and philosophically and with what we try to do in our community. And they've really taken it to the next level. And that's a credit to them. That's credit to the time and effort that they put in to try to make playing football here at Moline High School a special experience.
You almost left.
Yeah.
You were close. And now that you look a couple years ahead of time.
Yeah.
Things kind of work out for you when you look at it?
I mean, they did. I don't have any regrets about the situation. Obviously, I had, for a long time thought about maybe, it could have been still if we did, but, there were just some circumstances surrounding some family health issues that,
Sure.
You have to make a tough decision. And ultimately I'm the oldest and, kid in my family. And, I felt like it was my responsibility to kind of step up and do the things that were necessary during that time. And, I think it was a great opportunity. I think it was, there's great people, up there. And I think they're a great program and a great community. And it would have been pretty incredible. But, it all works out. It all works out for a reason. And everything happens for a reason. And, I think it's kind of given my family the opportunity to really dig our roots into Moline and be proud of what we're trying to accomplish here and to keep building things in our community. And, so I think it's definitely worked out. The kids that we've been able to have the last few years that I would have missed out on, that would have been disappointing knowing now, what we've had and the type of kids we've had. So it's been pretty awesome. And I'm very, very fortunate to still be here and to be around a bunch of great people and kids.
And the scenario you talked about, Coach, if you're not there now, you're going to be, because we've all been there and we've all had family and, parents get older, everyone gets older and you're going to have to, it's going to fall on your lap. So you're going to have to deal with it eventually. And
I've watched both of my parents do that in the last 3 or 4 years. So it's been a challenge, but I mean, ultimately, like you said, it's going to happen for everyone. And that's just part of life.
In this day and age, you talk all the time about, and I know I've had a lot of conversations about, we're seeing less and less of the 20, 30-year-old, 30-year head coach at one school. You're seeing guys either get up and move or back away for a while and maybe become assistants or just get out of it for a while because it's a different era, because you have different pressures and wanting to be more involved in your kids. Can you relate to that maybe a little bit more now than before?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's very different from when my dad coached. My dad was a head football coach for 30 years at one school, and that was incredible to sustain that longevity. But I think because football and really sports in general have become a year-round process of off-season training and kids going to their own private coaches and kids training on their own privately. And this is all sports across the board. There's just a lot of different things that are pulling kids a lot of different directions and other influences that maybe they were not dealing with, 20, 30 years ago. My wife and I were just talking about today, our youngest daughter is getting ready to go into that travel softball world.
Oh God, run away. Run away.
That's what I'm saying. It's nuts. Like it's not. And our oldest daughter plays club volleyball, so she's already doing the travel, but you need a setters coach for that. Then you need a defensive specialist coach. And now for our youngest daughter, you need a catcher's coach, a specific. You need a batting coach. Like
I know.
It's just, I think those outside influences that pull kids out of, working out with their teammates year round or doing and even if you're a multi-sport guy, being around those guys, it's changed. I think, and then the 7-on-7 leagues and that stuff, I think it's great for development. I think the kids that go and play, it's incredible because they're able to compete and they're able to obviously get better at what they do, but it just pulls kids every different direction. I think those are challenging. I think that's really, really challenging. And I think because it's a year-round commitment, I think guys do get burned out. I think they get burned out fairly quickly unless you have a great staff and a great support staff and people, administration and within the community that are supportive. I think it can wear on you. I think it can really, really wear on you. And like the best example for us, at least, was coming out of COVID, that spring season, going right into summer and then going right into another fall. That was hard. That was hard for a lot of coaches. I think it was hard for people in general. So it's a big commitment. I think that's what's made it more challenging.
Oh, I've never talked to more coaches this summer that enjoyed an actual summer than ever before. It was across the board. Everybody said, hey, everybody needed that
Oh,
break.
I'm guilty of that for sure.
Yeah.
We went out to San Diego for a week, and it was like just to disconnect from everything else.
Yep.
was amazing. Yeah, it was needed, much needed.
So if anyone ever has the thoughts of year-round football, just ask those coaches, and they'll tell you, yeah, you need the break.
It's hard. You have to take breaks even throughout the school year of like, we're not going to bring the kids in the morning to lift this week, or we're not going to do this week. If you don't, you're basically gonna drive yourself crazy and run yourself into the ground.
So when you need advice, let me know on the travel softball thing.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming. I mean,
9 years.
It's happening.
9 years, traveled the country, been with Colorado 3-4 different times. Tennessee, Georgia, we've been everywhere. Pal.
Really?
Everywhere. So
okay, so you did it big.
Oh, did it big. Only way to go.
Wow. So, and I'm assuming your daughters enjoyed it and loved every minute of it.
Really did.
Yeah.
Really did. A lot of good came out of it. I tease, obviously, because it is involved. It's expensive and it's a lot of involvement, but there's some good behind it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be ready.
Believe me, the volleyball has given us a little glimpse into what it's going to look like. So we get it.
2022, I thought terrific year, 8-1. Again, I mentioned the game I was at. You beat Sterling, you end up winning the conference. You get into 7A, you beat DeKalb, and then you have an unbelievable second round game, and you lose on the road at Yorkville in 4 overtimes.
Yeah.
Have you even attempted to put that on yet, or no?
I can't do it.
Yeah,
I can't do it. And honestly, the big part with that is, it was such a great game, and it was so back and forth throughout the entire game. And they were a very, very talented team and a really well coached team. And and I felt like back and forth going there, and then getting into the overtimes. And I think the hardest part was just the fact that there's nobody loses that game in a sense. I mean, they're winners because of the way they compete and everything else, but you just hated to see, the way that ended for our kids. And then, for me personally, you reflect back and it's like, gosh, I would have done this so different. I would have done this so different. I would have done this so different. And, I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, this is part of just the life of a coach. Like, there was probably a month straight where 2:30 in the morning, you wake up and you think, gosh, if we just did this, or gosh, if I just did that, if I just did that, if I just did that. And I think that's you care about your kids, and you care not necessarily, we would have got out of the second round, but just to kind of avoid the heartache that they felt after the game, I think is the biggest part. And it was a great football game. We're very happy to be a part of a game of that level. But it was tough. It was hard. And it's one of those things that you may never get over. And I probably will never watch that game in its entirety, but that's okay. That's just the way it goes. Everybody's got a couple of those.
Yeah.
And this one is now on my list.
Yeah. I mean, so you're of the school of, if you're going to lose, you'd rather get blown out than lose in 4 overtimes. Are you squarely in that camp now?
I thought that I was. I really did. But then it's like, when we talk to our kids afterwards and they're all like, look, we gave it all that we had. I mean, and that's what it comes down to. Like, we did everything that we could physically and mentally to try to compete to win that game. And it just didn't happen. So I think some of our coaches are definitely on the other side where they're like, you know what? Screw that, man. I'd rather get beat by 35 and not have to deal with that. But I think you're always going to go back and forth. And I'd rather be that our kids are able to compete in the second round of a 7A playoff game than get blown out. Because then you're getting closer to where you want to be. So there's a lot of things that we learned from it, and a lot of things that we're very, very proud of that came out of that game. It's just, it was disappointing not to come out on top.
And bottom line is it was a good team. You had a good group.
Oh, very, very good. Yeah.
Very, very good senior class. I think about guys like Riley Fuller, who had just a great career for you.
He's incredible.
This time of year recruiting, I know guys are either committed or they're trying to find homes for them. I know that's been a whole new adventure, just dealing with the recruiting landscape. How did that go? And how do you pass it on to your kids and your parents, how much things have changed in just the last couple of years?
I don't think I really understood how crazy it is until this year. I know last year was hard. We saw guys that went and played and had JUCO opportunities and some other things. But this year, like, we had players like Riley that you're thinking, okay, they're definitely like a D2 scholarship kid. And those were harder to come by. Because there was, the COVID year, and then other things that went on, like kids are getting extra years, so there's not scholarships available, or they're not, there's always the issue of what they're going to take at every position. But I think guys are getting opportunities later than we anticipated. Like Grant Sibley, just this last week went down to Pitt State and then went up to Mankato State to visit. And I mean, I think he's going to make a decision today. So he'll get to go to one of those schools and he'll play and he'll compete. But that's a kid that would have had a home, 2 months ago, at least known where he was going to go. Same thing with Fuller, some of these other guys. So the competitiveness is getting crazy because of that carryover, and it is different. And it is hard to explain to parents because as much as you talk about patience, nobody wants to be patient.
No.
Nobody wants to wait to see what happens. Nobody wants to decide where they're going in February. They want to know earlier now. And it's just gotten crazy. We have a kid that just transferred in, William DePape, who's 6'6", 220 pounds. He's got a Georgia Tech offer, which is great, but he knows that even this spring, he's got to go to a bunch of different camps and he's got to be seen at a bunch of different places to get the opportunities that he wants. And it's just a whole nother ball game from a recruiting standpoint than what it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago, especially with how kids are recruited in the camps and having to get on campus and, which is probably good for their colleges to do their due diligence on kids for sure. I mean, that's what you want, but it's becoming challenging for high school kids because of the transfer portal and because of the constant movement of spots not being available.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's been challenging. And even from my end, because you get asked, well, where do you project this kid? Well, what you would say 2 years ago is completely different now.
Correct.
Because, kids that I could have easily said, well, Riley's a prime example. I could have seen Riley a couple of years ago. Definitely a D2 scholarship kid, probably a kid that could end up playing FCS depending upon the school and the fit and everything else. Now it's like, even if he has that ability, who has the money? Who has the scholarship?
Especially at a running back position, because they're going to find one in the portal somewhere that's experienced in college. And I mean, my best friend from high school is the D coordinator at Pitt State, who's obviously a very good Division II school. Jasper Ogburn's going down there from our place. And he told me, he's like, this kid, talking about Fuller, he's like, Riley can definitely play in our league. He'd do very, very well in our league. It's just a matter of, do you have an opening at a running back position? Are schools committed to the transfer portal, or are they going to take a high school kid that they can sit on for a year? Yeah. And then the COVID year of kids carrying over that room might still be full. So there's so many different variables anymore with kids. And, unfortunately, a young man like Riley was one of the ones that's like, you could be patient, try to go JUCO and figure and see what happens. Or, fortunately for him, he can go the baseball route because he's excelled at baseball. So it's hard. It's just been a crazy time.
Looking ahead, 2023, obviously it's still February. So
we're always looking ahead. Always.
We got a little bit of time, but I know you do bring some impact kids back from last season, kids that started for you. I know Chase Stevens was a kid that was a two-way player. Fill us in, give us a handful of names that maybe people need to watch for this coming season.
Yeah, Chase would be the first one I talk about. He'll be a 3-year starter for us. A super dynamic kid. He's a good baseball player as well. Really good student. William DePape just transferred in again. He's a defensive end, tight end. He's 6'6", 220. He's shown up here and really, really done a great job. Adrian Cooper is going to be a junior next year. He started for us at outside linebacker. His interest has picked up tremendously, and I mean Pac-12, Big Ten, Big 12. I mean, you name it. Like Adrian is going to be a phenomenal football player when it's all said and done, and he's only starting to kind of scratch the surface of where he's at.
He definitely looked the part for sure.
He's gonna. I mean, he's right now 6'2", 190, 195, and I mean he's going to play both ways for us for sure. I mean, he'll play running back for us. He'll play outside linebacker still. Nano Cepeda was a starter on the sophomore. He was a sophomore offensive line starter. Really good football player. And then I'm going to be honest, like it's kind of a to be determined thing, but our staff is pretty optimistic about the guys up front. I think we're going to be bigger than we were this last fall on the offensive line and the defensive line, which is really hard to believe. Maybe not the defensive line, but the offensive line for sure. We do have some young skill kids that are really talented. Our quarterback position is going to, we have a junior that'll be a junior coming up, a sophomore coming up, or that will be a sophomore that'll both compete for that. Pablo Perez is a running back for us who didn't play as much this last year because of Riley, but as a senior could be a really good player for us. And we got a lot of guys. We got Xander Ely started at receiver DB for us a little bit. He'll be a kid that a 4.8 GPA kid. So he's a guy that we can plug in anywhere. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to kind of see where everybody fits. But as a staff, we are very optimistic that we'll be, still pretty competitive this fall.
Awesome. Scheduling wise, I know for decades and decades, the Western Big Six has been an adventure over the years.
Nuts, man.
It seemed like they finally got things kind of settled. You got your 2 non-conference games finally early.
Yeah.
As opposed where they used to be spread out all different weeks, and you guys were going 6 different states trying to find games.
Sounds right.
I could go back discussions I had with Vic Boblet when he was at Rock Island, searching for games and just, oh my God, Edge, we're looking for anyone that can play us in week 6.
And nobody will play Coach Boblet at that time because they were so good. Like they were
exactly.
We want to play them.
Exactly. So with Allman shutting football, what is the impact? What does your schedule look like? Do you even know what your schedule looks like?
Yeah, so we're gonna play Glenbard North week 1, which is awesome. A really good team that'll be competitive, which we want. We always try to schedule those first 2 games as somebody that'll be good teams. We have Bennett Academy again week 2, which is exactly what we wanted. Like 2 really good teams that are gonna challenge our kids.
No doubt.
So week 6, which is now our opening, is week 6. We have contacted schools in Missouri, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Indiana. We talked to Center Grove High School, who's a power.
Don't call Iowa though. You'll get thrown in jail.
Oh no. We wouldn't dare go right across the river to try to play somebody.
Don't get me started.
That is crazy talk. Why would we ever do that? So we reached out to Center Grove, tried to get them to come here. They wanted us to come there. That didn't work. And we have exhausted about every resource that we can, and we still are going to leave it posted like we should. The Iowa schedule, the weirdest part about the Iowa schedule is they don't even have their schedules yet. So they won't know anything for like another month as far as who they even play. So that's a whole nother deal. But we've tried to schedule everybody or look into any options that we can. And, it's a challenge, and it's disappointing because we lost a game last year where our kids didn't get to play for the same reasons. And we just don't want our kids to miss out on an opportunity to play. We really don't care. I mean, it's, Center Grove is pretty freaking good. And we were wanting to play them just to have a game, knowing that it could be a really big challenge for us. But it's like, hey, if they're willing to play, then we'll play. And the logistics of it and the travel just didn't work out. But we're going to keep looking and keep trying to figure out if there's an option. And until we do, if we can't, then we'll go through the IHSA and take a forfeit win or whatever it is. So
which you talk to any coach, they'll tell you that's the last thing in the world you want to do.
Nobody wants it. Nobody.
Building momentum. Even if it's a situation where if it's a team that's just not that much better, not very good, at least your entire bench will get playing time. You'll be able to roll kids in, and
that's it. Nobody's in this to embarrass kids either. No. So we would dress everybody and rotate guys in, and we do whatever it would take if we ended up in a situation like that, to where it wouldn't get out of hand or embarrassing to anybody. That's not the way we do things. So it'd be, we're open. So if you know anybody, tell them.
Oh, for sure.
You call.
No doubt. I have a feeling you will not be the only Western Big Six coach we hear from looking for games.
Yeah, I guarantee we're not. I think everybody's in the same situation, unfortunately.
Couple real quick things, and I'll cut you loose, Coach, and I appreciate it as always. State finals going to Illinois State. Any thoughts?
I'm intrigued by it only because when I was young, that's where I watched those games. Right. The first state championship game I can remember watching was at my grandpa in Illinois. At least I grew up on the Iowa side. Was the Joliet Catholic Geneseo game in 1990, and I remember what Mike Allstott, and it was a game that came down to the very end, and that was at Illinois State, and so I always kind of correlated those games at Illinois State, and I knew obviously when I got back up here that they changed it and they switched things up a little bit. I think it's going to be a great venue. I think it's right there in the middle, so I mean it's decent from a travel standpoint. It works for both, and I think the venue is going to be a little more like personal, so to speak, with having people there. And I'm excited about it. I think that's going to be neat. I think it's going to be intriguing for a lot of people that hadn't been to a state title game there to maybe get back out and go check it out.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be fun. I think, as you mentioned, it's one of the few, and everyone has an opinion on where we've held at various sites. And
of course.
But ISU, at least from and maybe the fact that it hasn't been there in over a decade, but it seemed very favorable with a lot of fans.
Yes.
Saying, let's give it a shot. So we'll see what happens.
I would agree.
Like everything else in this era, everyone will start bitching and moaning on social media and telling
everybody's
how bad it is.
Because they have a platform to complain. Right. They're going to complain.
Yeah.
I get it.
The other thing I want to ask you, some of the practice rules have changed. The contact rules have changed. I know you can go 11-11 now in the summer. Thoughts on that? Have you guys tried to line anything up, or what's your approach going to be?
So we actually have something lined up with Jacobs High School. They're coming down. They're coming down for a camp at Augustana.
Awesome.
A good friend of mine is the defensive coordinator at Cary Grove. We've talked to them quite a bit about trying to get together at some point. And then we actually do something at St. Ambrose right across the river. Iowa City High will come down. We'll have a joint practice with them. So even if we only get two, we'll take two of them. And I think we look for an opportunity for our kids to compete in that way against somebody else before week one. I think it's good. I was hoping the scrimmage would pass because it can still be controlled. Like it doesn't have to be the chaos of like, oh my gosh, they're tackling each other, beating each other to the ground.
I know.
It can be whatever you want it to be. And here's the other thing. If you don't want to do it, then you don't have to do it.
I know.
So that was the disappointing part for us with that.
Mike, it's been a decade plus. I've been arguing for that damn scrimmage game, and it's still not happening.
I get it. So that's our summer plans with other schools that we've looked into.
Sounds good. Hey, appreciate you taking time. Great to be caught up with you. Definitely will make it out to the Quad Cities again this year. And
you're welcome anytime if you ever do. And maybe a Whitey's gift card for you next time.
No, I'm stopping.
Entice you to make that trip.
It will be fully documented when I stop the next time I'm going through Moline.
I love it.
No doubt about it.
I love it. Hey, thank you again. I appreciate you having me on.
Great to have you. Great talk. And again, just best of luck the rest of the spring and the summer here. Hey, good luck with the travel sports. Enjoy
yes, sir.
That.
Thank you. We'll be all over the place. Keep an eye out.
Enjoy being a parent, and maybe you can yell at their coaches for once, make you feel.
Oh man, our 5-year-old starts flag football this spring, so it's the way it is. I'd rather them doing that than sit in the basement watching TV. So we'll take it.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Mike. Appreciate it. Mike Morrissey from Moline.